Hello guys, welcome back to the digital portrait series. This very episode we're going to handle the transitioning aspect of the picture we worked on previously. So without much ado, let's get to work. Working on the image on PICSART alone is not enough. Once you're done working on the image on PICSART, you have to proceed with Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop is actually a software which is focused on designing and photographic effects. Without much ado, let's look forward to making this picture and transitioning this picture with Photoshop. So considering this picture, you realize that there are certain effects that really doesn't tally with the actual picture, the skin color and all that. When you take a look at the hair, you realize that there are certain areas that doesn't really look so cool, because if you are trying to compare this picture to that of the normal, or the original picture, you realize that her hair is actually featuring that of black color, but over here we can see that we have this blue effect here and we have to correct that. So we're just focusing on transitioning, we're just focusing on making things right after we worked on PICSART. So let us proceed by adding the image. So considering Photoshop, the interface, there are actually two options of which you can place a picture on a working area. So we first have the file, where you can just drop down here and place the image. So you place embedded, or you go externally to the file explorer and then drop the image which you want to work on. Or better still, once you're here, click on the image and then right click, open with Photoshop. Okay, so you click on that, right? The first time you download a picture, it's going to give you this frame, it's going to give you this background, this white background with your actual image centered in the background. So we're definitely going to take the picture out of the background, but before we proceed with that, we have to correct the errors on this picture. Okay, so as I said earlier, there's some areas that doesn't really tally with the original picture, and we look down here, you realize that there's this harsh elements on the picture. Looks like it's breaking, and we're definitely going to correct that. So what PICSART mainly does is it gives you that effect for your digital painting, the colors and all, the natural colors and all. Just a fast way of getting this done. So we're going to look at this. First, make sure you select your brush tool. Alright, there's your brush tool. Okay, and make sure the color is actually black. So you double click on this swatch, double click on it, double click, and then you draw down to the black area. And make sure it's 100% black. Okay, because you're going to work on the hair. Now we're going to create a new layer. So move down here and then you create a new layer, or you can as well click here and move to new layer, or you can use a shift plus control plus N, or we just come here, so quick and click on create a new layer. So we click on a new layer. Now make sure your brush is actually a soft brush, because we have the hard brush and then we have the soft brush. So make sure your brush is actually the soft brush. Pixels can be reduced based on where you want to work on, and opacity can be either increased to 100% and reduce it once you are done, or you can set the opacity according to how intent you want the effect to be. So we click on our soft round brush, and then I'll set my opacity to 50. Okay, the opacity has to actually do with how intense you want the effect to be, the color. So now we've selected our color, we've reduced our opacity, we've made sure that our brush is set to soft brush. Now make sure you select on the first layer. Let's rename this layer to that of hair. So we double click here to rename the layer to hair. Okay, just to be sure we're working on hair. Now zoom in, and we're going to start working here. I hope you can get what is happening here. So quickly do that. Okay. So you can as well apply this step to any portrait work you're considering, and make sure that once you're brushing over the hair, you don't do it 2 times, because once you do it once and do it again, it gets more darker. Okay, because we set the opacity to 34. But as I said earlier, if you do not want to have issues with you doing it again and making it darker, you see, once I did it here, it got darker again. Darker. Some areas are actually stubborn, so you would have to apply the brush over and over again. Okay, so let's drop down. Considering an area like this, you realize that the blue effect actually is just so much. So we're definitely going to apply not only once but 4 times is okay. Yeah, do the same thing here. So don't forget, if you get any image and you're done with the manipulation aspect on PICSART and you want to proceed into working on that on Photoshop, which is a must, you have to consider this part. Normally it happens on the hair aspect of the image. So you get a lady, you realize that the hair looks kind of blue and all that. Yeah, I'm sure with time PICSART is going to upgrade, so you're not going to have that kind of issue. But for now, as a professional, you make sure that when you're working on your digital portraits, colors really matter. Unless the part of that hair has the feature of blue, then you can proceed with that. But if naturally that part is not blue, then you should work on that on Photoshop. And we're blessed to have Photoshop, because Photoshop is the king of effects and edits. Okay, so I think we're done. Let's check. Okay, this part is actually going to be cut off, so we don't really have to work on it. The outer part of the image. Okay, so let's check. Wow. Okay, so we're almost done with this. We're through with that, but let's check down here. I think we have some issues here. Okay, so I think this looks still blue a little. Let's try and wrap the brush there again, once again. Okay. Wow. I love this. It's actually fun. This is like you painting. Okay, there we go. Wow. Okay, so we're done with the hair aspect. Let's move on. So let's actually do everything that has to do with black. So let's consider the brows. Yeah, so we create a new layer again. Remove your mouse pointer to this icon here, click on the new layer, and make sure your color is black. Make sure you selected your soft brush, And you can actually reduce the size of your brush by doing this. You reduce the size, or you can even use brackets. You click here, bracket close or brackets open to reduce. Okay, so you don't have to come here, increase, reduce again. All right, so let's get to work. Now let's go back. Let's rename this layer. We rename this layer to, let's say, I want to do this browse. Okay, so we zoom into the area of the browse and reduce the size of your brush a little. Now we increase again. Then we're going to apply. Okay, to the blue areas. You apply, reduce this, apply. So you realize that you manipulating the image on PICSART is actually not enough. You still have some work to do here. Is this fun? Still some work to do here and here. Okay, make sure you're just applying it to the blue areas and not the actual parts, which has nothing to do with the blue, because you're just trying to, in as much as it's a digital painting, we still want to maintain the natural elements. So we're just painting. This place is black. Okay. Go up a little. So this friend actually gave me the opportunity to work on this picture. She's very cool with that, and I'm glad to get such an opportunity to work on a picture. Wow. Okay, we're almost through. With this. Let's go a bit further, work on some blue areas. Okay, here we go. All right, okay, I think we have something here. Okay. All right, so we're getting there. We always through. Okay, now you realize that her brow is it looks darker as compared to the actual image. So you move your mouse pointer to this area which has to do with the blend mode, and then you move to color. Okay, and then you click on color. So you realize that it looks a bit optimized now. So you check this, see. Okay, now let's move to the eye itself, the lashes area. You realize that we still have some blue stuff there, so we create a new layer again. It's not confusing, it's actually just about creating new layers regarding the particular part of the body you're working on. So now our brush has already been selected, and it's a brush 2. It's a soft brush. The opacity is set to 50, so that can be actually maintained. So the only thing you're going to focus on is to add in more layers with regards to the part of the body you're working on. So now we've got to the eye, so you double click on the layer area and then you type eye, or probably we can just do lashes, right? Lashes. Okay, so let's zoom in better. Now we have to reduce the size of our brush a little. Okay, so now let's get to work. Okay, always make sure you reduce the opacity of your paint. I mean the brush too, sorry. make sure it's set to at least 50, so that when you brush on a particular area and it's not enough, you can just brush one more time to get it to your standard. Okay, so now you're just working on the places that has to actually be black and it's not black. And so we started with the hair, we dropped down to the brows, and we're now with the lashes and the eye area. Okay. Let's move to the left eye. You are likely to face this problem once your image has hair components and is set to either switch to blue effects, which you have to work on. So let's proceed. So everything that has to do with blue is turning into black. Let's zoom in a little. Okay, change this, reduce the size of the brush just to work on this line. Okay, so here we go. Now you're getting there. Okay, so I said earlier, the black area is too much, so all you're going to do is, for it to blend with that part of the body, which is the hair, which is the lashes, you go to blend mode and then select color. So you can see it still looks black, but it's blending. You can now see the lashes. Let's go back without selecting. You realize that the color has actually covered the hair and you can't see the lashes. But once you click on color, you can see the lashes, but it still looks black. Okay, I think I've identified something here. So since my blend mode is still on color, I can still go ahead and paint. Okay, let's increase the size of the brush a little. So we're getting rid of that, and I think it's better now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we are through with the hair, we are through with the brows, we are through with hair braids. Now let's look at something down here. You realize that we still have these blue effects on the neck area. Okay, so we have to get rid of the blue effects. Now the question here is, you have the color black, so how then do you effect this on this area so it looks like actual skin? Now, still with the brush tool being selected, hold on Alt. Okay, hold on Alt, and then move to the area of which her skin is close to the blue area. You can see there's this dropper popping up once you hold on Alt. So you click on the skin area and then it gives you a color with regards to that tone. Okay, so this is what we have. Automatically it's going to be switched into the swatch once there. Now we are going to apply what we've switched, which is a color, on this area. So as usual, let's go and then click a new layer and change this to neck. Now neck is enough. Now let's zoom in and increase our brush size. Now we do a little bit of painting here. Make sure it doesn't get into the hair. Anytime you get yourself doing a mistake, you can easily hit on Ctrl Z to undo what you did. So we applying this. Take your time. I'm sure someone will be like, what is happening here? So let's go to the other side. Yeah. Okay, take it easy. It's just like painting. Take it easy on yourself. No rush here. Take it easy. Okay, now let's zoom out. And as I said, once you apply the color and you want the color to blend with that particular part of the body, you go to the blend mode and then you hit on color. So you realize that now it has been optimized. But if you are not so convinced, you can apply more. As you keep applying, you realize that it keeps blending with that area. Now, mind you, the picture being taken actually has light effects. So these areas are actually being affected by the light, which you see. Okay, so there we go. Okay, we're done with the negative colors. So we're going to proceed into smoothing of the skin, where we have all these issues here. We're going to work on them. And then the same thing actually has to do with the face. You can see this harsh stuff on the face. We have to as well work on them. And once you're done, we work on the exposure and the curves, and then we finalize. Okay, so without much ado, let us get into doing this. Now we have to convert this whole work into a smart object. So you're going to hold on Control, hold on Shift, hold on Alt, and you hit E. So you realize that you hold on Control, you hold on Shift, you hold on Alt, and then you hit E. The main work, the final work, is actually at the top. So you're going to click on neck, hold on Control, click on lashes, click on brows, click on hair, click on background. Now we group these items, but because the background is locked, we cannot group them. So let's click and double click on the padlock to unlock. Okay, now we're done. Go back, click on neck, lashes, brows, hairs, layer, and then you group this. Now we're grouping this because we don't need them any longer at this point. So you have to click on the eye, turn off the eye. So we're not going to have this in our work. Okay, wow, that's done. So let's proceed into making this a smart object. So you right click on the layer. So right click on the layer, and then you convert to smart object. Okay, all right, so you're going to have layer 1. Now we're going to duplicate these layers into 3 main layers. So how do we duplicate? It's either you right click on the layer and then you click on duplicate, or you do a Ctrl J. I always do the shortcut because it makes the work much easier and faster. So you hold on Ctrl, you hit on Ctrl J, you hit on Ctrl J again. Okay, so now we're going to turn off the eye of the first layer, and then we click on the second layer. Now what are we going to do? We're going to work on the smoothing. We're going to make all these things fade. So we click on the second layer, and then you click on filter. Once you click on filter, you move to blur, and then you move to Gaussian blur. Now this level is enough because you can't actually see the hash areas, the breaking areas. You can't see them again. So now what happens here is, the more you increase this, the smoother you're going to have the work when you apply. So for me, I think the 7 is okay, but 6.5 is going to do the work much for me. For me, 6.5 is going to be okay. Yeah, so you do 6.5, you click on OK, and now we come back to our first layer. You click on the first layer, turn on the eye, and now you go to filter again, go to other, go to high pass. Now you can see we are exposed to the hash areas of the work. We are exposed to it, the hash areas. So we don't want to see the hash areas when we're working on the smoothing. So we're going to reduce this until we don't see them. Just a little. This is okay. 0.6 is okay. And click on OK. Now, once you click on OK, on the first layer, which is a high pass, move to blend mode, and then you select vivid light. Okay, vivid light. Oh, now we're done with vivid light. So click on the first layer, and then you click on the second layer. Once you're done, group these layers. So how do you group? You group by hitting on Control, hold on Control, and then you tap on G. Okay, so that's it. So we've grouped it. Now, for us to work on this and effect the smoothing, we have to hold on Alt, and then you click on Add Mask right here. So you click on Add Mask, then you see this black area. Once you see this black area, the image goes back to normal. So once we're done, we go back to our brush tool. Make sure your brush tool is actually on white. Okay, the black actually has to do with erasing what you're smoothing. So let's proceed. Increase your brush tool depending on the area you're going to apply. So let's start work. So before you start applying the brush, make sure you select the black spot here, which is a black box. Make sure your opacity is set to 100. When you're done, you can increase it. So this particular aspect of where we've got to, make sure your opacity is set to 100. So now let us work on the smoothing. Okay, there we go. Just take it easy. So once we're done, we're going to reduce the opacity. Definitely reduce the opacity. And mind you, not all areas are supposed to be smoothing. Just make sure that places that look so bright with, the lights, you're not supposed to apply the brush over there to smoothing. You realize that the nose area, there's a part that actually looks shiny. You don't apply the brush over there. So make sure you just to ignore brushing that part, you can reduce the size of the brush so you don't get into it. Okay, good. All right, so sure we don't get into that so much like that. Okay, so we increase. So smoothing the edge is actually going to take off that reddish aspect, gives it its natural flow. Okay, regarding the lights, okay, because even if you want to brush or smoothing the places that has much light, you just have to reduce the opacity and then do that. Okay, so you realize that we are not getting into her brows because and then her lashes area, because we don't want to change the effect over there. So let's continue right here. So once you're done, you're going to reduce the opacity. So you realize that what we're doing, we've not even got into the hair, because the hair is not actually part of the smoothing. We don't have to apply that on the hair. You see, naturally she has this neck that has its lines. You do not have to get into that because it's natural. We're almost through. Almost through with this. Don't rush it, it's just painting, but we're smoothing, so you can take your time and work on this. Yeah, I know someone is going to ask, so when are we taking off this signature? We're definitely going to take it off depending on the finalization. We'll have to take it off for the purpose of the work. But I acknowledge Marish is very good with photography. I remember the first photograph I took in the studio was taken by Marish. Okay, so we almost through with our work. Now let's zoom out to see our progress so far. Whoa, wow. So let's try turning off the smoothing we've done so far. Let's turn it off and then see the after effect. So you see, this is before and this is after. This is before. Let me zoom a little bit. This is before and this is after. You get it? So let's just try and reduce the opacity a little so it looks a bit natural. Okay, reduce the opacity a little. Here we go. Here. So we check the after, we check the before. This is which is the before. This looks so bad. Now we check the new one and this is where we got to. And wow, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Wow. Okay, so this is where we've got to. This is the transitioning aspect of the process, and so we look forward to finalizing with same Photoshop. We're going to separate the fore image from the background and we're going to work on the manipulation. We're going to take this picture from here and then we set it on a very nice background, and we have to effect the changes, work on some photographic effects, and that is what we're going to do in our next video. So this is what this episode is all about. We're going to proceed with the next session, and the next session is actually going to do with the photographic effects. We're manipulating the image, changing the background, finalizing. So see you in the next video, which is actually the finalization of what we started. And hey, Don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to share, don't forget to like. See you there.